All right, my lovely dears, we are going to dive into what we are working on in this new unit. One of the big pieces we're going to work on when we're dividing with fractions is specifically dividing with fraction divisors, all right? So when we have a fraction in our divisor, this is how we're going to solve it. First things first, I want to look at what this really is saying to us. So let's take a look at that. 5 divided by 1/4 equals C. So what I am asking is how many, I'm going to write it out, how many 1/4 can fit into 5? Let's see what that looks like. Let's pretend I have 5 cookies. I want 5 cookies. 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. And I want to know how many 1/4 can fit into my 5 cookies. Basically, how many fourths can I divide each of these cookies into? Well, in order to do that, let's just divide them into fourths and see what it looks like. Bloop, bloop. I'm not going to do these perfectly, but that's okay. You guys get the picture. Now, this tells me how many fourths can fit into 5. You could count it up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 20 fourths can fit into 12. That's fantastic. Now, I want you guys to see what this looks like when we use the reciprocal, all right? Sometimes it's really easy to draw a picture and figure out your problem. Sometimes you're not going to want to do that. Sometimes you're going to want to use a mathematical equation that's going to make things a little faster, especially if you end up using some bigger numbers that get a little funky. So when we use the reciprocal, remember the reciprocal is the multiplicative inverse, which means we're going to multiply by the opposite. So the opposite of 1/4, we just flip it over, it becomes 4/1, and we're going to multiply. So that means, to do this, we would do 5 multiplied by 4/1 equals C. And we know that any number over 1 is really just equal to itself, right? So 4/1 equals 4. So what this really says is 5 times 4 equals C. You guys know 5 times 4 equals 20. And when we drew our picture, we also got 20. That's super exciting. Excellent work. This is how you would use the reciprocal to determine the quotient, all right? Multiplicative inverse, we're going to multiply by the opposite number, and that is going to give us our answer. Very, very exciting. These are 2 different methods that you could use. I know we finished up our division with decimals unit, but one thing to think about, if you remember your benchmark fractions, 1/4 is a benchmark fraction that equals 0.25. You could always check your work with this. This is another equation that is going to have the exact same quotient, all right? It's just one more way to write that equation. If you're more comfortable with that, you could always check your work with that. So this is one quick look at dividing when we have fraction divisors, all right? I know you guys are going to do awesome. Go get some practice. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll chat at you later.